Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing something different. I'm going to be reviewing your aquariums, whether it be a planted aquarium, a saltwater aquarium, or a monster fish aquarium. Let's get into the video. Rules here and where I got the inspiration from. This video was inspired from Fish for Thought. He really gave me this idea and I thought I'd spin a little twist to it just because I thought it'd be really cool. Scaling your tanks on a scale of 1 through 10, 10 being amazing, can't do any better, 1 being it's terrible, it needs to improve. Without further ado, let's get into the first tank. Off with our first tank from Vior Peterson. If I pronounced that name wrong, I apologize. We're looking at a jungle planted aquarium. I love the overgrown dark green, I don't know how to say, overgrown jungle. It just looks so wild and it looks so amazing in that sense. It looks like you can be lost while looking into all of those plants and just seeing the fish swimming in and out. It's just outstanding. I do think that you could trim a little bit of that front hedge and you would kind of give it a more open jungleness to it. Otherwise, that's a really good tank, considering it looks to be, oh no, it has CO2, but it looks to be amazing. That growth is incredible. Definitely keep that up. And I dig the pothos coming out of the back. I would put some more epiphytes in the back too. Then you'd really get that overgrown jungle type-esque. Overall, I'm gonna give this tank, on a scale of 1 through 10, I'm gonna give it a solid 9. I think if you trim up the front a little bit, it gives up a more open feel, making your tank seem a little bit bigger. But otherwise, a really solid tank. And you look to be pretty good stocked on those type of plants for a while. Oh, another comment that I have for this is I think you can put in a splash or two of red plants to give it a little pop, maybe to bring out more red. It'll definitely bring out a really good sense of red if you throw it in with all of that green. Otherwise, just an amazing planted tank. And yeah, second tank is from Issac Christopher de Leon, and we're looking at a 20-gallon long with spiderwood, dragonstone, several types of Anubias, java fern, and cryptocorns, stocked with some orange and black platies, male and female carbensis, red Venezuelan cories, and in the picture he shows guppies, but he said he removed them from his tank. Initial thoughts was, this reminds me of one of my first aquarium scapes. It kind of, maybe it's the tannins leaching from the spiderwood, but it has that like orange tint to it along with the dragonstone. Definitely gives off that kind of orange, slight biotope vibe that really makes me think back of my old aquariums back when in South Texas when I would make biotopes in that manner. Otherwise, your java ferns look to be pretty healthy along with your Anubias, so definitely keep that up. I would add some stem plants in the background. I think it would give more of a plant-like look, and it would also add contrast and make your hardscape stand out even more in a sense that it feels more overgrown. But me being a fan of heavily planted tanks, you can't go wrong with more plants. Otherwise, I agree with some background plants in the tank, but otherwise it's a really good scaped out tank. I'm going to give it a solid 7. It has a lot of potential, and you need to act on those things that I mentioned in the past. It needs a little bit of maintenance. Otherwise, it's a really good solid tank. It's a really good solid scape, especially if you're wanting to go with a lot of fish, like you said in the description. Our third aquarium to be looking at is from Kel Morgan. This is from Kel. This is my 2-year-old Wallstead. I like messy jungle tanks. Me too. Hence, the riverbed is overgrown with dwarf hairgrass. This is a 5-gallon, and inhabitants are lavender doubletail. I'm assuming that's a beta. A few coal shrimp, a few snails, ram's horn, and bladder snails. Milfoil, red milfoil, subwasser tang, java moss, dwarf hairgrass, Rotala columbus, duckweed, and yeah, duckweed. This isn't a typical Wallstead. I do 50% water changes to keep everything in check. Yeah, okay. So let's debunk this aquarium. Let's look into it more. First off, I love the bridge. The bridge just brings a, you know, your overgrown jungle theme to it, and it just if you hit me up with the jungle tank, I'm really always gonna like it. I like how the plants are sorted too. It kind of gives that, like, I don't know, it gives that uniform kind of look, but yet still jungle and overgrown. As of the carpet, I love the carpet. The carpet's good. It resembles an overgrown jungle again. So you hit the nail on the coffin on those. In terms of floating plants, I think you go a little heavy on the floating plants. It's a little light here. Maybe you just remove the duckweed. I don't know. I dig the beta. Looks solid in that aquarium. Plenty of places for it to sleep or hide or do beta things, you know. Now, of course, you could have recently just trimmed it. But I think letting it overgrow a little bit more, and maybe in the back I see in the back that there's some Java moss, which I dig. But I think letting it grow up more in the back and trimming at a elevation will give it even more of an overgrown jungle type of vibe. And heck, even letting it grow out of the water a little bit in the back with some immersed growth will also give that jungle look, especially when looking afar from the tank. As plants go, I think you should swap out the Rotala for maybe some either Hygrophila deformis or maybe some Alternanthia reckonii. Yeah, I think going along that route, because the Rotala kind of gives it, in my opinion, Rotala is a very high-tech looking plant, even though it's pretty easy to grow. There's just something about it. Rotala looks very uniform and not very messy, as like a messy jungle tank would resemble. But that's my opinion. Otherwise, it's a really solid scape. I think the bridge really helped boost up some points because it kind of gives that like overgrown jungle temple, overgrown jungle city kind of vibe. And I see you're going with the dirty aquarium. You can't go wrong there. This is a wallstead, so you're not even liquid fertilizing. That's awesome. And yeah, you're doing really well for a wallstead tank, and I really enjoyed it. As I was editing this, I did want to go back and change the ranking. I went from a 7.5 to an 8. And I think swap out the Rotala, let the stuff grow up in the back, and you have almost a solid 9.9, 9 out of 10. Our next tank is from Rodney Rodriguez. This is my 8-year-old 37-gallon column tank, mostly filled with Anubias, Boos, and Cryptocorns. Rodney says they were looking for a centerpiece fish. I will give you a suggestion on centerpiece fish. So, starting off, we have almost a, in my opinion, what I'm getting, is a jungle vibe to the aquarium, at least with all the low-hanging roots and the epiphytes. I really like the fact that you actually throw in some gems in the bottom. That is kind of cool. Along with, if the gems and the plants go together, that's pretty neat. That's like a sunken treasure sunken treasure aquarium vibe that I definitely dig. Apart from that, you seem to incorporate a lot of you seem to incorporate some hardscape in the back. I recommend bringing that more towards the center and maybe putting some more substrate in the background to lift the background up, giving it a slope kind of theme to where you can see more elevation in the aquarium. That way you can get a better overall visual sense of the aquarium. Apart from that, I recommend putting in, I see there's a little bit of horntail actually, but I recommend putting in some taller stem plants such as maybe some Limnophilia Limnophilia indica, maybe some guppy grass, maybe some Hygrophila polysperma rostervang, or some Rotala willichi, or even some water sprite. Just something to have a background that's easy, that's gonna grow for you, that's gonna hide that filter in the tubes back there, and it'll give your tank more of a, how do I say it, like a closed environment kind of vibe, kind of like a hidden, like sunken underwater treasure. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you get it, you get it. It's like a overgrown kind of feeling, similar to the tanks that I mentioned in the past. I would add some tall background stem plants. Otherwise, it's a little bit messy to look at. The foreground's a little confusing, a little disorienting. So if you like put the gems near some of the plants and like kind of put them in a neat order, I think that would really look cool. Kind of get that substrate just to clean up a little bit of that gravel. Otherwise, it's a really solid tank, and the crypts look to be pretty healthy. And yeah, I really agree with the crypts in the front. So my suggestions were to add tall background plants in the back, elevate your substrate up, maybe move the gems a little bit. Otherwise, it's a really solid tank. I'm gonna give it a. That's a tough question. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 as well. The glass super clean, and that's always satisfying to look at with an aquarium, seeing super clean glass. And the gems add a really cool touch to it that I haven't seen quite a bit. Similar to the bridge in the previous tank. Yeah, so just get the foreground clean, just add some tall background plants, and you ought to be pretty good to go. Turning that from an 8 to a solid 10.5, or 11. Yeah, it'll look really, really cool when you do that. For our sixth tank, I'm going to be looking at Richard McCormick's aquarium that he provided on Facebook. It's a 20 gallon long, drilled with an overflow for a 20-gallon sump, running a EIS dosing with heavy CO2 injection. The tank is unheated and home to a school of white clouds, blue diamond neos, and lots of snails. Right off the bat, it is a very, very, very clean looking aquarium that I really, really, really like. If you keep your aquariums super clean, which does require a lot of maintenance, by the way, it looks so much better overall. It looks a lot more professional, and it just, in this case, it just looks a lot more, professional or clean in a sense. And that's gonna easily boost your score up. The plant growth is incredible. The carpet is nice and thick. I like the crypt corns, a little wiggy in the back, give it some nice textures. It's a little green in my opinion, especially if you're running the EI dosing with the high CO2. I would recommend putting in some more red plants, like some Alternanthia reckonii. That's the only thing that I really wish was in this tank, was a little bit more red, similar to the other tank that I previously mentioned in the first part. But again, it's a really solid, clean looking aquarium that, you know, under any circumstances, it will always do better. It will always do well due to the fact it looks so clean and organized, and I just really like the cleanness of it. I love how the plants are sorted. I like the top reflection too. The top reflection also gives it a nice little kick. And maybe hide a little bit of the equipment a little bit. Otherwise, I am going to rank this tank 8.9. It is a really solid tank. I definitely recommend more red plants and some more taller plants in the background. Otherwise, it is a really, really good looking tank. The next aquarium is from my friend Molly that I met in Aquashella. She was really cool and really fun to talk to. So Molly kind of switched it up on me and went a little different, and she wanted to show off her individual tank, and then she wanted to show off her tank rack, which I find really cool, and I thought I'd add it into this video. Starting off with the tank, it's a pretty simple overgrown Vallisneria tank. It's got some betas in it, or at least a beta from what I can tell, that albino white beta. Overall, it gives me like new Planet Tank kind of vibes. Low tech, pretty solid for some betas. You could use a little bit of higher lighting to reach the petalas that you have planted in the stems there. I like the hardscape in it and the dark substrate. Overall, it's a very dark, kind of calming tank that's very simple and maintenance free. Otherwise, you can trim up the Vallisneria a little bit, maybe put some Hygrophila deformis in the background. Polysperma rosterang in the background I think would look really cool, along with maybe some Bacopa moneri. And in terms of stocking, I think you've nailed it with the beta, and it looks really cool. Overall, I'm going to give this aquarium a 6.5. It's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, it's good for keeping a beta, very happy in beta environment. Not one of the showier tanks, but overall a really cool tank. And now I want to show you guys her setup that she decided to show me as well. Now this is the tank rack that she wanted me to show, and I'm more in love with this rack. This is incredible. I love the amount of overgrown plants growing all over the rack. I love the stickers. I love the fact that the tanks give off a orange lighting that matches your stand or your rack, and it just looks so comfortable. Like you walk in, you're like a slice of nature just on your wall. Like I love it. And the overgrown vines really give it a cool thing. I've already mentioned that, but this is really cool for a tank stand and a setup. I think it gives off another kind of swampy feel. Overall, extremely cool. I'm gonna give this rack system a solid 9, as the racks are gonna come in a different category. Just a little something bonus I figured would be cool for this video. It's not gonna be with the tank, but rack was solid. Definitely a solid 9. I think it's a really cool thing to add, especially in that sense. It's really cool. Last but not least, our final tank from Chi-Chi's Aquatic Dreams. I have been watching this tank that he has posted time and time again on Facebook over the past few months, and quite frankly, it is just an incredible tank. I can only imagine it is very expensive, since it looks as if he's running high CO2, high lighting, and there are probably more epiphytes in that tank alone than maybe all of South Florida. That is a just incredible amount of epiphytes. A lot of Bucephalandra, a lot of Nubius in the front, the leftmost portion, and then in the bottom left corner and the rest of his tank, he has cryptocorid flamingos. That, I am a sucker for crypt flamingos. It's a very colorful cryptocorid. It's pink. I actually have some growing that I might have for sale pretty soon here if you stay tuned. But I'm a sucker for pink cryptocorns. It's got that dark, high-tech feeling that, again, is very clean, like the previous tank. But this time, it is such a rare and unique mix-up of all the Bucephalandras, epiphytes, and just flow in general. And it's hard to tell in the photo, but he does have a lot of fish in there. I think that is an albino. I believe that is an albino rainbow fish. I may be mistaken. There are some neons in that bottom left corner. I enjoy some neons. The one thing I would do if I had this tank, first off, it is a great tank. This is already way more advanced in terms of epiphytes than I've ever done. So give a huge props out to Chi-Chi on that one. The background, I would throw in some blood red vomit. Not blood red vomit. I'm sorry. Rotala blood red. That would be my opinion. The red and black contrast will give it like a really cool high-tech feel. Otherwise, it looks awesome. It's just like, I bet it's one of those tanks that you go in there in person and you see it in person and it takes a hold of you. That you look in and it's very in-depth and very deep back there. And it's hard to capture all that on camera, at least just a photo. But it is just outstanding. I really like it, and I'm sure it's one of those tanks that you can also stare at one little cube section and just slowly move across the entire tank, taking you like an hour and a half to actually look at the entire aquarium as a whole. And it is just incredible for B-roll footage when you're using a YouTube video, and much more. Overall, I'm going to declare this tank as the winner with a solid 9.8. I believe if you add some blood red Rotala in the background, it'll look amazing. But otherwise, this takes the cake and is just a really neat epiphyte, cool aquarium that is just outstanding. Congratulations, Chi-Chi. You are the champion in this video contest. And that will do it for today's video. Leave a like down below and tell me which aquarium was your favorite down below in the comment section, and I will be happy to like it and reply. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I am hoping to do more of these in the future. If you guys want to enter these, It's very simple. Go and follow my Facebook page, my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube. In the links below, I will be announcing when I will be posting entries to the next video, and there is a very big chance that your tank will be featured in this upcoming video. If you guys like this series, again, I ask you to like it. It really helps the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me to make more videos like this. Mention a friend tank, mention your tank, and I'm hoping to have these competitions have a overall prize, such as a $50 to $100 gift card on my website. So yeah, hopefully we can get more of these. I really want to thank everybody for watching my videos. It means so much to me. And yeah, hope you guys have an awesome day. Keep tanking.